All right, let's call this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, September 20th. It's 5:30 p.m. and this is the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Committee. Welcome, everyone. We're going to move right on to item 2, which is approval of minutes from July 12th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Jane, second by Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. At this point, anybody wish to declare a conflict of interest? No conflicts of interest. On to public comment. Item number 4. What we would like you to do is please be advised per state statute section 1944, information will be received from the public. Public comments will be shared with the committee. For the committee, be advised that there may be limited discussion on the information received. However, no action can be taken under public comment. Anybody here from the public would like to speak?
Well,
This is with Blake.
you want to just, I know you're not from the public, but you are the
I mean, I sort of am public.
but you want to talk a little bit the court and
You are in public.
I am, that's true.
then you can skedaddle when we're done with this.
Yeah, sounds good. So for those of you I have not met, I'm Blake with Parkitecture. I'm your guy for park stuff. So tonight I'll just give a quick update on the Corp. Obviously, we just had our public meeting. We had a pretty good turnout, I felt, and a lot of good comments and discussion. Some colorful discussion too, which is kind of fun for me to hear. All positive color, but we've also in the background been doing all the demographic analysis, so the kind of the front end of the report, which is to many the boring part of it. You know, I really prefer the stuff we were talking about tonight, the physical infrastructure and improvements, but we're doing the back end stuff. It's, I would say, 80% done. So we're going to take tonight's feedback and then probably have some staff discussion on their input for recommendations. We'll get together our draft report and get it to staff for review and to you guys for review. My hope is to have the process pretty well wrapped up by the end of the calendar year so that we can jump right into 24 and get some stuff done.
Great.
Blake, you're also our consultant for Brain Park. We're going to kind of give a brief update on Brain Park and where we're sitting with that.
Hi, I'm Blake with Parkitecture. I'm a parks guy. I'll be talking about Brain Park, and we are chunking through the design on the pickleball complex right now. So we have, since you guys probably haven't seen the latest, but we have 12 courts with a center alley running east to west. And that alley means you have unobstructed access to all the courts through that center spine. So the gates will be on the east and west sides, if you can picture that. Just this morning, we were able to recapture some of the parking stalls that we thought we were going to lose when we put in that center alley. Just showing Justin the plan, we're going to have to shift both driveway entrances about 4 feet to the south. So those existing curb cuts will be sacrificial. We did look at them, and the condition of the concrete it's fine, but it's not great. And so we think that the cost of that additional concrete and road cut is totally worth gaining about 20 parking stalls. So we're also doing our darndest to save that giant oak on the south end by the diamond. So it's in between the fence and the existing parking lot. So we're going to carve out, instead of running parking all the way along that south line, we're going to carve out about half of that row for conservation to save the root system of that oak tree. So we're pretty pleased with that. We are going to keep chunking through, and our hope is to have that bid package ready, this fall. So hopefully in a month we'll have it ready to go. Hopefully that aligns with Justin's schedule, and it sounds like, well, you can talk fundraising.
Which should be next on our agenda.
Perfect.
It's exciting. Thanks. Any questions for Blake?
Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, thank you.
Drive
Appreciate
safe
it.
and good luck with the
Thank you,
band.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the meds.
All right.
All right, guys. See you next time.
All right. We are on to item 5, which is the Bram Pickleball Court fundraising agenda item. This, I'm going to let Justin introduce this.
Thanks, John. The local pickleball group is now kind of officially organized. They had an organizational meeting last week, so they kind of swore in or voted in a president, a vice president, a secretary, treasurer, marketing. So they have all their different and various roles. One of the main objectives they want to do is start fundraising for the Brain Park Pickleball Complex. And before they get out and start asking for money, they should really check with the city and get some sort of authority to do so. All of the money they'll be requesting will be going to the community foundation. They got approval from the community foundation to set up a fund for the Bring Park project and then continue that fund throughout for maintenance and net and repairs, whatever might be associated with that pickleball facility and others, and try to grow their organization as a whole. But before they get going too fast, they want to get permission from you. Oh, their goal is 300,000. They may get over that, they may get under that, but that's their goal, is 300, to give you an idea of their target. So they're requesting permission from the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Committee to seek donation sponsorships on behalf of the Bring Park project.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the group to begin fundraise money for the pickleball courts, and then we can have a discussion on that. So can I get a motion?
Almost.
Brett, motion, second.
I'll second.
And a second by Randy. Thank you. So let's open it up for discussion. What kind of questions we have?
What do you think the bid is gonna come in at? Have any idea?
Should have asked like that.
I'll run them down.
I don't know.
I
Right
guess-
now, the budget was 175 for it, but that's probably including other things. I'm guessing somewhere around 250, 300.
So their goal may meet the cost.
Well, I think
The city's gonna also, the city's contributing to it too.
Right, but I mean, if their goal is to raise $300,000,
what
their goal is,
what you did, I think what you missed in that is that, they're an organized group,
yeah,
and that there'll be funds used for maintenance.
good.
Yep, in the
Absolutely.
future, yeah.
So
So it's not, I don't think
our-
this is intended to go into construction.
Yeah, I can't speak for them whether they're gonna commit the full 300 to the project or they wanna reserve some of that for
Maintenance.
maintenance or other things they may have, but they're definitely a willing and wanting partner.
But I think in any event, it's a true statement to say that this is a public-private partnership in raising these funds, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Tasha.
First of all, it's wonderful that they're doing it, yay, great. Is there any way that we can give guidance for this is how much maintenance is gonna look like in the next 10 years, so this is how much you might wanna squirrel away with the community foundation? Just so that we know that we're.
Yeah, it would be hard to say what maintenance will be with pickleball courts. The one that's gonna fall apart the most will probably be either windscreens or nets. And those are relatively nominal. If I were to ask them anything, it would be bank their money as long as they can until we have to resurface the courts, which are usually the most expensive. And banking the money and holding on to it in the savings account will be the most advisable. Right now, UW and Oak Street, or S.J. Miller, those courts need to be resurfaced, but the cost is $50,000 to $75,000, which we can't even afford to do right now. So and these are 16 courts, so it'd be about that. So it's not the overall operation cost, it's the replacement. Like right now, we have a lot of trails that need to be redone, whether that's along Adler Road or over Mill Creek. We can't afford to replace them and repair them. So a savings account would be my advice to them.
Yeah, so could we as a group maybe give them that recommendation, like, hey, if you raise all this money, it would be awesome if 75,000 you banked so that when these need to get resurfaced, you know that the money's there and you're not gonna get this.
You definitely can. I could pass that along too.
It's an idea.
I think it's worth passing along, just as a recommendation from the group. I don't think it needs to be an official action, Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, are they planning on promising any sort of, I guess, sponsorship for the donations that they're getting? And if so, like what? If they go to a
Naming
business-
rights, you can do that, like I want to
Yeah.
sponsor the net, or I want to sponsor the
Right.
bench, or whatever. Yeah, they're doing that.
Okay, do we know what those are? I mean, are they just the bench and the net or?
No, I just totally made that up.
Okay.
I don't, we are working with them on the sponsorship form. What they can sponsor, what they can't sponsor, what the amount should be, how they can structure their goal. Whether it's a brick or a windscreen or a ball or a court or whatever it might be, yeah. So we're working with them, and they're designing their flyer through our office.
Okay.
So,
I know they have a fundraising chair and a committee, so I think they're getting pretty well organized. I think we'll know more details real soon. Yeah.
we'll share
Yeah.
that probably at the next meeting, their
Okay.
product, if you will,
Okay.
of their sponsorship thing.
Any other questions, discussion? Can we have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the group to fundraise money for the pickleball courts? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and that's exciting. I recently joined the cult of pickleball. So. All right, we are on to item number 6. This is a canvas outdoor furniture, and I'm going to ask Justin, do you introduce this, or should I hand it right over to Matt?
You can just hand it right to Matt. He's used to this type of stuff.
All right.
Well equipped to talk
We have a
about
guest,
his
Matt.
initiative.
Well, great. Actually, my staff coworker Bethany kind of ran across this opportunity, and we sat down a few months ago and had like a Zoom meeting with this group Canvas. Basically, this group recycles giant wind turbines. So if you look on the second page of your packet, those basically giant fans, or windmills. Their blades go bad, and they can't really recycle them. It's just not very easily to do that. So this is kind of how they did it, cutting them vertically and making like planters and benches. And so they talked to us, and we thought it was kind of a neat idea. And so we kind of got Justin and Nikki like, hey, do you think this could work somewhere? Maybe one of the parks, possibly Wendell Plaza, Wildwood Park, maybe the Jurassic Park relocation, kind of, renewable, recyclable kind of stuff. So we did that. They actually have a program where, working with communities, municipalities, they offer what's called the Welcome Package, which is 8 pieces valued at about $37,000 that they will basically try to raise funds and give it to the communities. And I think they told us they have a pretty good track record of getting it sponsored. I think there's a lot of renewable energy companies, and a lot of the energy companies have a lot of money and they want to try to give back. And so we, I think, currently are in line for opportunities to receive sponsorship toward this project. I think it's been live for a month or two and we haven't seen anything yet. But I think in that, maybe next year or two, we could possibly see it get funded and then have the opportunity to use these and use them somewhere. I don't know, Bethany, Nikki, Justin, you guys have any things to pipe in that I didn't cover?
Well, say we submitted the paperwork and they put us on their funding website in June. I would like to say that the people that normally fund our organizations are the energy companies, just to help out with the sustainability of reutilizing these. We were really excited, I think, all of us, when we saw the presentation, because we do want to be a community that shows sustainability and that shows that. And then it's reusable. If you look at the designs, they're very user-friendly. They can be planters, they can be benches, and welcome package, like Matt said, comes with it. So the biggest thing it would be is where to put them when we do get them funded. The other really beneficial thing about these pieces is they come with like a QR code that people can scan, and that can give the story of the sustainability and what we're doing as a community, and then it also can be any other information. So let's say we have one of these at Wendell Family Plaza, which they are kind of big. I don't know if we could potentially, depending on size, place it in Wendell, but we could have like the schedule of events that are happening in the next month, and that can be changed out, which I thought was a really cool concept. So I think it's only a win-win for our community to be part of this. We'll see if we don't have to put up the money. The other idea is obviously that if we get that funded, there are more furniture pieces that they offer that could be for purchase. And it's something to if you do peruse the website, you can see all of the things that they do. I think it's a pretty cool concept. I was happy they came to our office and showed us this. So I'm definitely on board. Bethany, do you have anything to add from the presentation we saw?
It sounds like this company is a relatively new company, so that might be why it has been going for a few months and they're starting to build that traction, build that recognition, both in the communities that they exist and also with all of the different companies that they are able to partner with and match with these different communities. So just an exciting new thing to be a part of.
I do think they're working with maybe 100 or 200 communities in the United States, so it's kind of a big company, and it's doing some stuff. I think we really felt the only cost would be is I think they would ship and get them to one location, and then we would probably need to figure out how to move them and place them would be, I think, the only real cost.
Would there be some foundation concerns, Ben, like for something like this, like we do with statues, like cement pads and that type of thing?
I would assume possibly we'd
Yeah.
probably have to put some kind of a slab down, would be
Yep.
my assumption.
Okay. We do have a recommendation to approve the donation from Canvas and have staff select locations for placement. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion for that. A motion by Natasha
I'll second.
and a second by Jane. So let's have some discussion. We've got all kind of questions. I'm waiting for you to raise your hand, and you did. Thank you, Natasha.
So predictable.
Yeah.
We're doing like this new playground at Brain Park. Wouldn't like a bench for the parents to sit on? Like, wouldn't that be a perfect location? And it's kind of like modern, and who knows what this new playground will look like, but maybe architecture could look into it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I would agree, and there's all kinds of new things that are going to be happening in Brain Park, and I think that's even mentioned as maybe a possible key spot. Maybe Wenzel's, I'm not sure if it fits in at Wenzel's or not. But yeah, I think it's cool and exciting. I like the sustainability piece of it. I get what they're doing, trying to get their name out, and QR codes are going to be advertisements for their companies, and that's fantastic. I think that looks good. I wish I could afford these for my backyard. They're a little over my price range, but yeah. Any other questions? Okay, all right, a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having us.
Again, you can stay.
You can say,
There's
cookies.
We've got cookies.
We'll catch up later on topics.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we are on to item number 7, which is our 2024 fee schedule. Always a fun discussion. Justin.
All right, so included in your packet there are essentially two tables depicting the 2023 fees and the 2024 fees. This usually comes in front of you each year. This year is primarily focused on rentals, not so much on recreation. We may come back in next month or the month after to talk about recreation fees if we want to increase any of those. So let's flip over to the chart itself. So it's broken down kind of into 6 categories, or actually 5 categories. The top blue one is Oak Avenue, and then you move down to the second one is the 2nd Street Community Center. The third one is Wildwood Station. Next one is our park shelters and the band shells, and then park miscellaneous items, and then on the next page are athletic fields. So that kind of gives you the different categories. In the first column is the name of the building and what it might depict, and then the second column is the resident rate, the next column is the non-resident rate, and then the yellow is the respective 2024 resident rates and the non-resident rates to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at. The red stuff that's crossed out is stuff we're removing or striking, and then the green stuff is new. So you'll notice there's a few green amenities added, but we didn't add any new buildings and new facilities, just some changes to what we're adding. And then mostly the green fees are noted in the yellow. So kind of going through the first one is the Oak Avenue. One of the main things that we decided is that our overall charge, let's say we charge $200 and our hourly fee did not match up, and that hourly fee, let's say, was $33 and our overall fee was $200. You wanted to increase it by the hour, it didn't match up. So what we did is every hourly fee was divisible by the overall fee. So if they wanted to add an hour, it was super easy math. Our software system didn't like the way we were doing it, but mostly our front office staff hated it because you couldn't do the simple math and it became very cumbersome. So that was the main driving force, is to make it all divisible by an hourly rate that is overall in a lump sum rate. So if you rent the station for 6 hours and you wanted to extend it for 1 hour, that math was super easy rather than what we did before. And that's primarily my fault. So back to Oak Avenue. The main changes in the yellow columns is the fee went from 200 to 210, and then the gym mat fee went from 60 to 62, and then the overall hourly rate is 14. Moving on to the Second Street Community Center, there's a number of changes there, but they're all relatively minor. I'm not going to go through every single one, but they're all relatively small incremental increases. Wildwood Station, our most popular building, actually we came up with this package called the whole weekend package, like for a wedding. And Amy and Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, did we had one of those this year or two? Two of them. So that was an incentive that they would just rent the whole weekend, and it was cost incentivized, so they would save a little money, but it was also saves on our labor, so we're not going in there cleaning every day and having to do it. So it worked out really well. So Wildwood Station has a few changes. You will note there are some hour changes, so our blocks of time have changed. It was, I don't remember what it was. What was it? Do you guys remember, Amy?
8:30 to 4
And now it's going to be 8
and
to 3.
4:30 to midnight.
Now it's 8 to 3 and 4 to 11. That gives it a whole hour for our staff to get in, make any changes, do it cleaning. It gives a little extra wiggle room. It makes it a little more consistent. And it's just easier to say 8 to 3 rather than 8 to 4:30. Park shelters, some small changes. What our staff has found that people prefer Wildwood Station 1 and 2, and then they kind of, if they can't get that, they just go to that next one in line. So instead of having a varied fee for all of them, we'll just make it the same fee across the board. So all of our shelters now are just $48. If they want to pay $48 for Weber, fine. If they want to pay $48 for Brain, fine. Just across the board, it's $48. It's a little easier for our staff to regurgitate to them. So when they're asking what the fees are, it's just $48 rather than a varied fee. Park miscellaneous, those are just various fees that kind of come up from time to time. We'd rather have them on the books and can tell the customer if they want like a tent fee or extra plastic tables, what that cost would be. So those have kind of gone up, either stayed the same or have gone up a little bit. I think most of those actually have all stayed the same, so they should just stay black. Flipping over to athletic fields, this is a little bit more of a challenge. We have various groups and various users that rent the fields on a regular basis and a weekend for tournaments. So we try to really narrow it down and make it much more user-friendly for our people that use them. So we came up with hourly rates as well as labor rates. So a lot of times the people want to have labor, our bed staff maintain the ball fields, but they like, well, I want you to maintain it in the morning and then maybe at lunch and then in the afternoon. Well, no one wants to hang around and spend their whole Saturday doing nothing. They want to be paid for the whole day. So this hourly rate gives them an idea of what it would cost to have someone there for the whole day for how long they want it. So the various changes are noted in here. Hopefully you guys had a chance. This is a lot of information. Look at it ahead of time. So if you're just looking at it now for the first time, it might be a lot. But these are the changes we're making recommendations on, and that is it. And Ben, Amy, Amanda, let me know if I forgot anything. Okay, they're all good?
Good, all right. I will go ahead with a motion to approve the 2024 Parks Recreation rental fee schedule. Entertain a second. And a second by Randy. So we have let's have a little bit of discussion. Questions? Brett?
My only question is on the athletic field, if you're looking at, I noticed some significant decreases in some of the hourly rates. Do you have an explanation or?
Yeah, those were 2-hour rates.
Okay.
So take GP Olson East and West kind of in the middle. It went from 20 to 12, but 20 was for 2 hours. So it was $10, now it's 12. So, and now those are hourly rates. That's the math that my staff was super excited about,
Got it.
because like, it's not quite works out the way it should. So that column on the right is the hourly, the one that you see, the original is probably based on a 2 or 3 or 4 hour rate.
Okay, that
So they
makes a lot more
just made it more of an hourly, just
Makes
great.
Any other questions? I've got one. So has there been any analysis done, and it's okay if there hasn't, because I think it would be pretty deep, of how this is going to affect revenue as compared to last year? I mean, I'm thinking that, you looked at the fees and what they were, and you kind of made it comparable, right, when you changed things to the hourly rather than, do you think it's going to be about the same revenue-wise?
It'll probably be increased because we're
Yeah.
just increasing.
there are some
across the
increases.
board. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll probably be an increase,
Okay.
but not,
Good.
it'll be nominal.
Yeah.
Trying to just keep up with inflation and cost
Right.
of living increases.
And I would say, just as a comment, that I think the fee increase proposals are very reasonable compared to other increases that we're all paying.
We started
I
this,
think they
if you
are.
remember, John, probably about 5 years ago. We kind of bring this back every year, increase it by $1 or 2 or
Yeah,
3.
right.
Rather than waiting for 10 years and jacking them up by
Yep.
20, then everyone's like, why'd you go
Yeah.
up so much?
No, no,
That's a little bit of a stretch.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Last chance for questions. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Let me find my agenda and we'll carry on. We are on to item 8, which is our department strategic plan.
John, you might be setting a record.
I'm not trying to.
Perfect.
It's okay.
It's okay. We're
Still
on it.
waiting.
So the strategic plan was given to you guys in July. We didn't meet in August, and today is September. You guys are able to provide some comments at our last meeting, and those comments were inserted. Just kind of like everything, information that is a strike through is going to be removed. The stuff in the red is new or edited, and then any of your comments were inserted in the appropriate location. But it is in front of you. Hopefully you've had a chance to see it. This is the third time it's came in front of this group. But tonight we're looking for approval to accept it and move on.
I've got a motion. Right. I got another second too. Randy, thank you. Yeah, I think, from what I remember, and I did look this over prior, all the recommendations that we have been inserted, and it looks good to me. Any questions? Discussion? Natasha, are you sure? Nothing?
Wow.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion? Right, we have a second. All right, okay, we have a motion and a second, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. You're right, we are moving along. I think it helps, to get this out like we did, the month before, 2 months before, to let us digest and get input and then come back, so it saves some time.
I think it's just too much.
Yeah.
And I'm not unlike anyone else. Sometimes I'm reading it for the first time at the meeting.
Yeah.
And sometimes like, okay, I got it now, I'll take it home, digest it, now that I have a little backstory. And next month I'm a little more prepared to approve it. So
Okay.
I'm in favor of always trying to give it at least 2 meetings to digest it, not 3.
All right, we are on to item 9, the meat of the agenda. Okay, this is the recreation report. In the report section, we'll start with Amanda.
Okay, I'll start with my programs that are going on, but I brought a Band-Aid report that is back there. I think that's correct. So the big programs right now, well, we have a senior health fair for the senior center. It took a 4-year hiatus or 3-year hiatus for COVID, so it's back since first time since 2019. It's in this building October 6th. We usually have around 200 people come for that. We do flu shots for the seniors, and then there's 30 booths that'll be set up for physical therapy, hospice, caption call, tons of different things, not just related to, but anything for the health of the senior citizen, basically. So that'll be here October 6th. Fall soccer is going on right now. Last year I added 6 teams with it, so probably 60 or so kids overall, so we're close to 400 again. So we have the same amount of teams as last year. We're 2 weeks into that. This year I started it after Labor Day. It's called fall soccer, so I wanted to have it in the fall instead of starting late summer.
So far it's going well, the weather has been cooperating. And then adult volleyball starts October 16th, so we've been working really hard on that. There's 44 teams this year, and in all the previous years I can see it's been like low 30s at the most. So there's a lot of more new teams this year, so that's good that it's growing. That starts mid-October and then November for some of the leagues. And then Vandahay Waters report here, I made it colorful and bright again for you. Inside of the front cover is pretty much the overall summary. Our attendance was down 5,000 compared to last year, but our revenue was increased and our expenses were very decreased, I thought. So we came out actually a little bit ahead. I think it was around 8 or 9%. I just have a couple graphs in here showing attendance. And then on page 2 here, it shows that our scheduled to actual hours are actually 92% this year, which is incredibly high compared to normal, but I think it was just the high temperature dry summer that we had. We didn't have to close for thunderstorms very much. And then on page 3, did the same chart as last year just because I was curious to see if Tuesdays would also be the busiest day of the week. So last year, Tuesdays and Wednesdays were the busiest days of the week, and this year, Fridays and Saturdays were. And then I didn't put it on here, but towards the end of summer, there's a significant trending decline in the number of people attending as well. So when there's questions about why we close, that is something that does factor into it. And obviously, staff is a major factor as well. And then admission, more people were scanning in with season passes this year. So we renewed their passes. They could either renew them online or in office at a discount. And then obviously we sold new passes as well. Those season pass sales, I guess you can see on the next page too, were increased compared to 2022 as well. And I kind of gave a breakdown of all the revenue avenues that we have this year compared to last year. So you can see where we brought in a little bit more. And then I just like to see the transaction breakdown because there's always discussion on cash and credit cards. So it was pretty much the same as last year. And then page 5 shows the expenses. Just keep in mind that we operated 73 days this year. So the budget allowed for 73 days. We scheduled 76 knowing that weather would be a factor. And honestly, it wasn't planned, but we actually did operate 73 days exactly. So it stuck amazingly to the budget.
Really good forecasting.
Yeah, and last year it was more. I mean, I think I did the breakdown of the hours on page 2 that we operated last year, but it averaged up to like 6 days less this year than we did last year. So that kind of factors into the expenses as well. Well, not kind of, it definitely does. On page 5, you can see the wages, the utilities breakdown, and then the repairs budgets were all less than 2022. I think the sun helped heat the water quite a bit. And then we were also open less hours per day and 6 less days for the whole summer. And then at the bottom of that page, I just highlighted the 2023 totals because we show a 9% in the green for this year, I guess. Which is pretty close. I think we're shooting for 106%.
Really well.
Yeah.
I'll start with questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is an excellent report, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very helpful. So I understand the decrease in wages and benefits, right, because we're open for less hours, and I think that was planned. It was part of the city budget, for sure. Repairs, equipment, and supplies, that's a pretty significant number less, right? Any idea kind of why that would be?
Well, it would have been our first full year last year, so
Yeah.
anything that needed to be replaced or purchased was.
In that first year?
Yeah. And that's stuff that's probably reusable
Okay.
year to year to year.
And the utility cost was significantly less too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, less hours operation, but still got to heat the pool.
I honestly, the sun did help heat the pool, I think.
Yeah,
And every
because it's
time
hotter.
Justin made the comment that every time
Sure.
it rains, it decreases the temperature of the water.
Makes sense.
And I'll put a little
Yeah,
caveat in for our pool operator, Kyle, because
Yeah.
he was keeping it kind of lower than it should have probably been for about half the summer.
Yeah.
So that was a couple dollars right there too, but
Sure.
those are the actual.
I can speak to that. It's just when you have the two people running it, Amanda and Kyle. Amanda runs the day-to-day operations, and the stuff that you guys see, and Kyle who does the maintenance. they're just in their second year. So
Yeah.
they're just better equipped to run the pool,
Yeah.
and that's where you see efficiencies. You just go to plateauing, but from brand new to where we are, there's been efficiencies from year 1 to year 2. Now this is year 3. Year 1, we're 30 days we were open, so we were just learning, and Amanda just got hired like at
Sure.
day 10 that we were open, so she barely knew anything. So I would assume next year we'll probably make some more efficiencies, and then that will probably be our plateau. That'll be probably our baseline. But I'm really happy with how well Kyle and Amanda ran the pool this year and how much efficiency they made, and just tweaking heaters. And yes, if it doesn't rain the entire summer, it doesn't cool the water temperatures, and the sun's out and it's 85 and humid every day, makes heating the pool really easy.
Yeah.
And Kyle liked it really cold, so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he never swam in it.
A couple more questions.
Yeah.
And I'll stop.
I would like to add the summary right here too, if you want to read that.
Yeah, okay. So concessions, I just want to talk about that, and so that was kind of a big deal. I think it was a big deal for the city at budget time, and then, you know, it came back here, and then went back to the city, and came back here, and that type of thing. So how, like, it looks like we came out about what we thought we were gonna come out. And did we actually make some money on concessions?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it really ends up being it's really just a non-factor. Is that right?
Well,
I mean,
it's a factor based off of principles or ideology. What did you want to see your concessions? Is it subsidized, not subsidized? How
Yeah.
much do you recover? And then efficiencies, how efficient? There was I would agree, a thought process, well, let's contract it out. That makes it really easy.
Yep.
Like your hands of it, but there was no one there. And that's when the discussion really began. Like, how do you foresee it? And we forecasted or budgeted for loss, and that's because you're buying things and you're not quite at that baseline. We were doing the forecast for the budget prior to even our first year even being done. So it's hard to so once we were able to understand the operations and there was clear direction for Amanda to go in that direction, it was easy to really do. She made a ton of efficiencies. When it was slow, people went home. She found out which was the hot sellers, which were more profitable, and pushed them a little bit more. And plus did a great job with customer service.
Yeah.
And so it's a win-win.
I totally agree. And I think my point to this is that it's a huge enhancement to the pool and totally worth it. And not only that, but we're actually making money. Right? So I think that's my point. It's more of a comment.
How much was the budget resolution for concessions? Was it 70,000?
60s.
Recall. But
I thought it was 60.
We wanted to break even.
Yeah, we totally wanted to break even,
Yeah.
but did the city get paid back and then you guys had extra? Like, that would be the goal.
doesn't work like that. So all the money goes into the same pot of money, if you will.
Okay,
So it's just allocating it to the appropriate budget account.
okay.
So
You think it was 60? Was that?
I'm thinking it was $62,000.
Okay, so
and,
then
I
that's
mean,
great.
That's
because
what I
then-
remember, and we made, and the revenue was 67,470.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember.
Right, because you're right, that
Yeah.
if that's what happened, then
Yeah.
it's kind of no longer,
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
That's just a comment.
yeah.
and that budget resolution was to overall increase the budget
Right,
for the pool.
because it wasn't budgeted.
It wasn't like this is just for
Hot
the
dogs.
concessions, it was just for that budget overall. So that budget, let's say, was 200,000, and we increased it to 262,000.
It was because of concessions.
Right, but yeah, we were increasing it because of concessions.
Okay, two more, and I swear I'm done. So the attendance slip, I would think would be expected, like from the first year to the second, right? It's brand new, shiny object.
Yeah. Then the busier Fridays and Saturdays kind of tells me that maybe there's more people from out of town
Yeah.
coming to visit than
Yeah,
last year,
could
you
be.
know?
And another comment here, I think, is number one is to be expected because it's the second year. And number two, it's still, it's still 20 or, 12,000 more than HEFCO ever had, or whatever, So the
And the prices are
attendance
way
is
different
still.
and they're buying concessions
Yep,
that are there.
yep. Last question. So are you starting to think about enhancements to the pool? I know, I mean, it's been open and like got your feet under, on the ground now, and now you've got a whole year of operations under you outside of the first year. Are you starting to think about, I know, like what could be better and, could bring different things, like that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Programs especially, that's the one that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had actually enough people in Aquasize to run an Aquasize class, which we did last year, and then we did 2 rounds of Aqua Zumba. And we actually had a handful of people show up to every lap swim probably. So my enhancements are programming, that type of thing. But if you have any ideas, obviously I'm open to
Yeah, great, cool.
hear what you want. Yeah.
Anybody else? I'm done.
Is this the first time a public pool in Marshfield has actually earned money? Like has a, because this was not a deficit year, right? Like, yeah. I feel like this might have been, from what I've seen, the first time that it was actually profitable.
I know HEFCO didn't generate a profit. As for the first time in history, I have no idea, but I would say of recent history, this would be the first time.
I mean, huge kudos to be the first time that this ever was turned a profit. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you. Nice job on this. I think this is really helpful. I'll take a little more time to read it. Okay, we are on to Nikki, item B, which is events and programs.
Okay, thank you. There's really no update on the Second Street Redevelopment Committee as of right now. Events, Hub City Concert Series wrapped up July 28th with Hub City Days. We averaged around 300 in attendance for the series. I think it's definitely up from years prior. People are starting to stick around. Quality of events, I think, play a part. And then also we did not have it in August, and I think that was a good move as well. We were able to use more of our budget towards the quality of music, and the attendance declines in August, and I think that kind of proves. In the numbers, we only had 2 dates where we had to move one band to a Wednesday night. That was that was attended less on a Wednesday night. I know it was probably a week difference from when they played on Friday night. So I don't think it's a showing of if we have it on a Wednesday. I was kind of interested to see if we had it other than Friday, but we'd see. But attendance was a lot lower for that Wednesday. So I always feel confident of keeping it Friday nights. Our last band only played for 45 minutes, unfortunately, because of weather. But overall, I think we lucked out on Friday nights for the concert series. Very happy with how it turned out. In July, just going through some of the activities we had an artisan market with Discovery Education Station. They had more vendors this year. It turned out really well. Weather was very hot, but when I was there was a lot of people more than last year. So those types of events where we partner with entities, I think, are beneficial not only for the organizations but for us and for Wenzel as a whole. Just getting people out there and economic development with downtown. Hub City Days was a great turnout again this year. Hot. We had no issues to really speak of. The only little caveat, which is always kind of our thing, is power. And making sure that we have enough power for our vendors and also our entertainers, and that is being addressed. Wenzel's Farm celebrated their 75th anniversary in August. It was so great to see. They set a world record for the longest meat stick, so I don't know if everyone was out there, but it was great. And Wenzel's Farm did a fantastic job putting that event on. Again, love to see that with community or our companies coming and utilizing Wenzel's in such a positive way. We just got through Maple Fall Fest at Wildwood. Again, great attendance, no issues. We made some changes to parking, and I think that made a big difference. I don't know if anyone was down there, but I know we've had issues in the past where people were parking on the side streets or parking where they weren't. I know citations were down, I heard, but obviously it happened last weekend, so we haven't got the final numbers. We could ask Matt that, but I don't think he has the final numbers yet. Looking forward, our next big activity will be Halloween. We partner with Main Street Marshfield on this. It is the 19th through the 28th. So we have a pumpkin promenade happening downtown, and that's a Main Street event. Last year we added the Spooky Zoo Tour. That went really well, so we're doing that again this year, and Sarah will be doing that tour on the 23rd. We are kicking off our first luminary hike, and that's October 25th, and we'll be at Weber Park. In past, we've done pumpkin painting at Wenzel Family Plaza and had it a separate date. This year, we're just going to put it with the luminary hike, where we provide the pumpkins and the paint and all of that things. It's a family-friendly event that people do like. I just think it's going to be better with the luminary hike, so we'll see how that goes. Mackey's doing business after 5 on the 26th. The 27th, we have the downtown trick-or-treating, and then Main Street has the beer walk on the 28th. So it's our goal to work with Main Street on building this event. They're popular. People get excited about it, mostly because the downtown trick-or-treating is so popular. We want to kind of, go off of that. So we're working really hard to build up that week. And then we are already getting ready for the holidays. Just on a side note, tree has been ordered for Wenzel's. We're just switching up decor a little bit and seeing what we can do to add programming around that Small Business Saturday to keep people downtown and shopping local. Any questions?
Questions for Nikki? All right. Thanks, Nikki. Just a public comment. Really, the Marshfield Public should take advantage of the Wenzel Family Plaza and especially the Hub City Concert Series next year, right? It's free.
It's free.
It's free. You bring a chair, bring a cooler, bring your family. It's a good time, and it's free. Why not come?
No
Right?
glass
Yeah.
bottles though.
My cooler never has glass bottles. All right, we are on to item C, Parks, Forestry, and Zoo. This is Ben.
Athletic fields are putting those to bed for the year. Did our final weed and feed application today, actually. One thing in particular Cody's working on is got some bank grass growing on Hackman Field. It's a 3 application spray he's going to be doing. He's a little bit nervous about it because it's the marquee field and there's a bunch of bank grass in the outfield. So he's hoping to get that killed off and some new bluegrass growing before spring season. So he's working on that. Special events, Nikki pretty much went through. Guys helped out on a lot of those. Pool, we got that drained down and the vessels are winterized. We still need to winterize the shower house and the concessions, but the pools are done. Put 120 yards of playground chips down on all the playgrounds except for at Wildwood and Greasy, the 2 big playgrounds. We do them every other year. So 120 yards will go on those next year.
Hey Ben, just to comment on that, I see most of the recommendations in the court plan are for like a poured safety play surfaces for the future. Expensive, but that'll be nice.
Yeah, it's great for maintenance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Supporter. Summer staff, it's back to school. Woo! It's a smiley face.
How many
there.
years?
Ben always says it's great when they're here, sometimes better when they're gone.
It's great to see him come, great to see him leave. We're doing some asphalt maintenance. You'll see crack filling and striping happening in some of our parks. Got Weber Park done earlier this year. That's got a seal coat as well. The other places won't do a seal coat, it'll just be crack filling and striping. Hamas, Greasy, S.J. Miller. I believe we're going to do the parking lot here too. That'll be a seal coat, so it'll be all black again. It looks nice when it's done. Mark's ramping up. We'll start forestry operations here this fall. We've got a grinder head coming next week. We'll be working on the trail system at Hamas and then prepping the area for our winter removals at Brame. So that's a big skidster with a grinder head in the front. Can do a lot of work. We got to rent it for a week. And then we'll start planting trees in 3 weeks. You'll see us out on Veterans Parkway and a few other places where Mark's got a plan for. So you'll be seeing us doing a lot of forestry work here next month or so. We're in the zoo now. The guys did build a bison shed earlier this summer, if you've been around the pastures. I've got the high school working on the hay barn. They started today. They'll be putting new siding on the 3 sides where we don't have animals. So working with the high school, new cap program on that. And the guys started taking out the old Cougar exhibit floor today. We want to get that established with grass this year, potentially move the Fox into there next year. So we want to get that all done now, so it has time to sit over the winter and hopefully have some green grass in there next year and not just all concrete. We did a lot of work in the pastures and the fencing. We have a 10-year fence certification we need to do. That was this year, and we passed. But we had Real Fence come in and do a lot of fence work. So that was great. So that CIP project is completed. Got some new Fox again. Sarah's really been doing a great job with training and getting those guys ready for the winter. So that's exciting. She's planning the Halloween event. That goes along with what Nikki was saying, but we have the trick-or-treating in the zoo as well. And then meeting with Rotary tomorrow to start planning for the Rotary lights on what's going where and all that fun time. What else? Let's see. That's good. Unless it was anything else.
A lot of stuff. All you guys, a lot of stuff. So we got any questions?
No, I did notice that the pond is quite drained from the lack of rain.
Yeah, it's really, we get a lot of questions on that, and it's truly a storm pond. So if we don't get water, there's no natural water coming into that pond. There's no springs or any creek coming into it. So it's really just storm runoff. So you see the soybeans in the field right next to it's all brown. We get rain from the church area coming down, but if it doesn't rain, we don't get new water. So.
All right, anybody else? Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Hey, Amy, on the cemetery.
All right, we had 35 burials between July and August. Marked out several graves for new headstones for Mercer Monument to install. We started advertising for the fall cleanup. We removed about 25 crypt and niche plaques due to fading. There was a material defect from plaques, I think they were from 2003. Had them all refinished and were reinstalled in August. Let's see here. We completed the 2024 cemetery budget and otherwise just mowing and same old.
Nice job getting the word out on cemetery cleanup. The fall cleanup, Tom, you too. Nice job getting the word out. I saw it in several different places, so that's a good thing, right? Yeah.
I just want to mention a couple things, which you didn't mention, which I'm going to, is Amy and Dan had an opportunity to go to Cold Spring in Minnesota. I know it's a city, but I don't know. It's not Cold Spring, Minnesota.
It is.
They actually have a town named after them now.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Spring is one of the main, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what they do and what they provide us, and then kind of what's your goal of meeting them, and then also you went to the association conference 3 weeks ago already?
Well, that was for September.
Yeah, so why don't you tell them about Cold Spring and what they do?
So Cold Spring is where we order our niche plaques from for the columbariums and mausoleum. And so the plaques I was talking about that needed refinishing, there were quite a bit of the crypt plaques, the bigger plaques, like 25 of them. So we took those there, and then they gave us a tour of their quarry. So we got to see where all the stone comes from, like the columbariums, mausoleums are made out of the granite. An interesting fact with that tour, they were talking about, we asked if they thought they would ever run out of supply where their quarry is, and they had said, no, the granite goes down into the earth about 10 miles. So they have plenty there, yeah. Plenty of granite there. And then we got to take a tour of the factory. So we saw what it took to actually put these nameplates together from start to finish. It was very interesting.
But they also went into, Amy's the secretary, treasurer, president, I don't know. The
Secretary?
the Wisconsin Cemeteries
Something.
Association, so
Okay.
it's a
Cool.
exciting group, so she was at their conference too.
That's supposed to be for the October meeting, the September.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay, we were at the conference, which was really good too.
Take her thunder away.
I know,
Next
stealing my thunder. Scratch that off for next month.
Thanks, Amy. Is there any other questions for Amy? All right, cool. Justin, we're on to you.
Brain Park pickleball's been one of the main things I've been focused on. As Blake said, he got plans to meet today on the pickleball parking lot design. We'll probably start to trickle over to the softball field because we're hoping to tackle the pickleball courts and the softball fields for next year. We've had a lot of interest in the fairgrounds as of late, and a lot of my time has been dealing with the Fairgrounds Commission and the operations and roles of responsibility, but hopefully we're moved past that. The fair is now done. They had a successful year, and we're working towards an expo building. So we want to build a large expo building, a 25, 30,000 square foot exposition building there to do year-round events and activities in that expo building. So we're working with a company called MSA, which is right in Marshfield, on not only design, but location and function and costs associated with that. So we're hoping to finish that up in this year. We're also working with the volunteer group to relocate Jurassic Park to Wildwood. And we hired a contractor, a consultant called O2 Design out of Minneapolis. They're a very good company, and they gave us some preliminary designs last month to review. So the committee's still under reviewing those and hopefully moving on the next step with that design. And court, you guys are very familiar with that. I'm not gonna waste too much time. And the Wenzel restrooms, we're still figuring out the restroom location as well as design in Wenzel. So hoping to finalize that this year and get that out to bid for next year. And then the skate park, I'm gonna probably see if Michael Riley can give us an update at our next meeting, but I believe the artwork was supposed to be up this summer as well as a wall. I wanted to see, he was working with some volunteer groups to get that done, but I'll try to get an update to the group, to this committee next month. That's all I have.
Thank you. Question on the Jurassic Park relocation quickly. How soon before you think we'll, like, as a committee, start seeing the design proposals and just from a public interest standpoint, I think it'd be nice to see what they're thinking.
They gotta pick a design and then start placing the actual sculptures in that design. So they just saw the first designs 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe it was. So they just they're as a group are meeting, but I don't think summers are the best, just like anyone else. It's hard to get the group together. So I would assume it's gonna pick up a little bit of steam.
Sure.
We also have people who live in Europe that are on the committee, so
Sure.
it's difficult for them.
So
Time zone change.
But I'm thinking at some point the committee will see like a design proposal and be able to give input.
Yeah, it'll be their proposal that they're recommending
Okay.
going forward.
Cool.
There's not a rush because there's no timetable.
No, understood.
And so when Clyde and Nancy decide it's done,
Yep.
it'll be more rush, but until then, they don't wanna be too overzealous and be like, hey, stop doing your stuff. They wanna continue that.
Okay.
That's it.
Did we pick location?
We did.
The zoo.
For Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Wildwood, over
What
by,
park?
what?
What park?
Oh,
Parking
by
lot.
the parking
Parking
lot, by
lot
Wildwood
when-
Station area.
Yeah.
The little pond area, kind of through there.
Yeah.
Not the best showing right now, Wildwood Park with the pond being so dry.
But it'll be the lower.
Lower.
part.
Yeah,
Be a
okay,
lower
that's why
one.
I was wondering.
I think a lower one would be more visible too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Item F. Anybody have any future agenda items? Natasha, go for it.
Okay, and I know that this is tricky, but I'm wondering if we can delve into something hard and tricky, not super hard, not super tricky, but I really feel like we as a committee need to figure out a way to get porta potties into our community parks, and I know we took them out because of the budget, but I feel like we need to look and say, are there other things? Is this a higher priority than some other things? And I just feel like as a committee, we need to talk about it because, you know, when that mom said that there's 31 families a part of that play group, I was thinking, wow, what if they fundraise $20 a family and that's like $600, you know, just to sort of say we'd really like to see it or something. But it's huge for the young families. And sometimes I think we forget if we don't have these little preschoolers, how hard it is. And, you know, part of our goal is people to utilize these parks.
Yep.
So that,
Great, I think that's a good thing to talk about. I agree. Saw some comments on that at the core plan as well. Yeah. Anything else?
Just have one thing.
Yeah, Jane?
Ben, you and I talked earlier, will you send me an email regarding those two issues? Thank you.
All right.
I tried to save time.
Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday at 5:30, October 11th. Let us know if you can't make it, and we'll plan from there. At this point, being done with the agenda, we are officially adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Tom, for reporting.